Welcome back to another fun and exciting episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod.
This better be fun.
It isn't?
I'm just saying, you said welcome back to another fun and exciting episode. It better be fun and it better be exciting. I'm Bryce Runge. Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home.
Stick around. We got fireworks.
Woo! Anyways, how you doing?
Well, they're virtual fireworks. See my hands going off and they're making fireworks explosions?
Do you see my hand?
Oh, yes. Thank you. Well, nice to know I'm number one, baby. Number one in your hearts. So, no, doing real good today. Survived the holidays and happily now into January. The cold, wet, shortened days, though I gotta tell you, I know I should enjoy the journey, but I will say that I'm looking forward to the warmer days, the longer, warmer days. Now, I'm okay without the 18 hours of 110 degree temperatures that we get here in Texas. But
You mean you don't like the 80-degree weather we had for Christmas?
well, I'm okay with
week?
seeing that. That's fine. Though I got to tell you, man, singing Christmas carols in 80 degree temperature was really hard.
Yeah, that's not okay. It's supposed to be snowing.
Yeah, well, no, we don't need snow. That's what they have up north. Though, I will say that it snowed in Egypt, in Alexandria, Egypt, before it snowed in Chicago, Illinois.
Wow.
How about that? Is that not crazy or what? But
Speaking of Chicago, all my relatives that do or do not listen to this episode, this podcast. I know a couple of them do, but
Okay.
they always tell me, "Yeah, come up here if you want some snow." I'd love to. I loved visiting.
Really?
We
See?
go there every year. That's where our family's from.
you know, I think there's a lot of difference between living in it and visiting in it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Having lived in it, I hate that white crap.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, shoveling it, walking in it so that, your feet are frozen, that your nose are dripping like a drippy, leaky faucet, your ears are cold, your fingers are cold, you sit in front of a wood-burning fire and it takes you an hour and a half to thaw out.
So did you dress properly? I mean, I'm envisioning were you wearing a t-shirt and shorts?
So you're dressed in layers, but you're moving around. You ever shoveled snow?
Yes.
It stinks and you get hot
Actually,
and
it
sweaty.
doesn't smell at all.
Huh?
You said it stinks.
Shoveling the snow.
I've shoveled a lot of that stuff too.
Well, the shoveling of the snow was never fun. I never really enjoyed it. Though, being said, when I was living in Pennsylvania, I had an elderly neighbor, and I didn't mind shoveling their drive, and so much their sidewalk, and digging out their car. I felt good knowing I could help them, but
As you should be, right? Helping them out, right? That's what. How can we help others?
Well,
That's the question we should be
thank
asking
you.
ourselves.
You know what you could do to help me out?
What?
I could go for a Diet Dr. Pepper.
I don't have any.
Then you ain't helping me out.
You know what you could help me out with? Let's get this episode. Let's get this show on the road. Seriously.
Well,
It's almost lunchtime. I'm getting hungry. But I do know that I need to pack my patience and be persistent.
Okay, persistent is good.
Right.
Enjoy the journey, baby.
I'm going to enjoy the journey.
One of the things that, what I wanted us to talk about today were ways to improve relationships with others.
Yeah.
And having gone through divorce, I realized that there were a lot of things that I did that contributed to the demise. It took me a while to get to the understanding that I did make some things, but some of the stuff I've learned has been really beneficial because it can kind of parlay to not so much just marriage, but to your relationships with every person, whether it's at work, it's at home, within your family. I am really, really blessed to have, friends that go way back. I am still friends with my oldest friend. Her name is Diane. And we grew up next door to each other.
Okay.
and we're still friends on Facebook and chit chat once in a while. One of my oldest, dearest friends, he and I were in kindergarten together. His name is Chris, and his brother Steve. We are still very close friends, and I absolutely treasure the long history. One of my best friends from high school, we're still very good friends. And I mean, we've been out of high school for a few years now.
Wow.
And so having these lifelong friendships mean a lot.
Right.
And so, I mean, how do you maintain a relationship? I mean, it's easy when you see them day to day.
Right.
I mean, you think about the people you work with and you have those good work relationships, but what happens when you stop working together?
Yeah.
What happens to those relationships?
Yeah.
And so, because I mean, for me, a lot of them, they kind of fizzle away.
Right. Oh yeah, same here. Unfortunately.
And that makes me sad sometimes because there are a lot of times there are people that I've enjoyed. I enjoy working with them. I enjoy getting to know them. And suddenly, they move or I move and you're not working together. And it's kind of like, well, now all you got is some fond memories.
Right.
So
Yeah. No, I'm there. I'm with you on that one. But I do understand the importance of relationships, our alignments.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I definitely believe that our alignments are crucial. Right, for a lot of different reasons. Those who we do life with. Right. I think those are. I could pinpoint a lot of relationships that aided in my success, and also relationships that took me down those dark paths.
Oh, yeah, because sometimes the people we associate with don't always have our best interest
Right.
at heart. But so I kind of, with the help of different articles, I came up with a list of 5.
Okay,
Do you want to hear them?
I do.
Well, thank you.
I'm going to hear them regardless, whether I said yes or no.
Well, if you'd said no, we could have gone a different path.
No, I'm just giving you a hard time. I do, because this is an area we need to continue growing in, because, again, our relationships.
Well, I think our relationships make life worth living.
Yeah.
The better our relationships that we have with family, with friends, our children, or with parents,
Right.
I think the happier our life can be. So I just want to start with saying thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for letting me sit next to you at the Christmas party 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And because that helped
Yeah.
a lot with me fitting in at school.
Right.
And it's paid dividends for me.
Yeah.
Having you as one of my dear friends has been exceptionally beneficial.
Right.
And I've learned a lot from you.
Oh, well, vice versa, man. I could say the same thing.
And that is one of the first things you should be able to do is express gratitude. Say thank you.
Right.
And that's why I think that the more, and it doesn't even have to necessarily, it can be a specific thing. It doesn't have to be, generic, but it can be, thank you for standing up when I got remarried. Standing up there next to me was very beneficial. I appreciate it. I mean, it showed the strength of our friendship that you would do that.
Right.
And so, again, sometimes being specific, thank you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing that. I mean, it is amazing how much thank you can mean to somebody. For you saying it, it may be no big deal. But the person receiving it, it can mean a great deal.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. I agree 1,000%. Well, thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for the thank you.
You're welcome.
I think we can go all day on that.
Speaking of, I'm going to go off on a little bit of a...
Okay. No, go right ahead.
You had mentioned Christmas party. And, well, So we just had our Christmas party.
Oh yeah,
Our
yeah,
staff holiday party.
yeah. You guys got a real Christmas party.
I didn't want to go there, but anyways, it was so good.
Yeah.
It was really good. What it did was it kind of sparked. I don't know. There was a lot of buzz about it after the next day, and it was very encouraging, and a lot of, like I said, a lot of buzz and a lot of talking about just it was awesome in itself, but like how people came together. Mm-hmm. Right. It was something completely different. We were on campus. We weren't doing anything there. It was also a relationship building night too.
Mm-hmm. I think that
people recognized that as well, and that was huge.
I think that that's one time of the year that a company can work on that work relationship with their employees.
Right.
And I have always, I don't want to say always, because I've worked for a lot of different companies and different school districts, and I'm sorry to say, but I judge them by their Christmas party.
Yeah. And
now it doesn't mean that I quit if I don't like the Christmas party, but it lets me know how much I feel valued.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's, yeah.
I mean, I work for one company where they didn't even recognize you. Yeah. I mean, there was no Christmas bonus. There wasn't a Christmas card. There was nothing.
Wow.
And it was okay. I mean, it was a uniform company I worked for back in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And it was kind of like, well, thank you very much for not really giving, two squats about me.
Right.
And so it was.
I think our district does. As we continue to grow, I mean, I don't even know what the numbers are, but there's quite a bit. But I think that's one of the awesome things that they do to express gratitude. Like when we come back, thank you, right?
Yes.
And then at Christmas, I have never heard of that in a school district before.
Oh, well, this year a lot of school districts got a thank you.
Oh, okay.
And some was a bigger thank you than we got.
Yeah, but like it hasn't always been that case.
No, that is true. That is true. Our district has
been doing it for a long time.
15, 18, 20 years.
Which is huge. Like I've never heard of that before.
And
coming here, I was like, wow.
Yes.
But just going back to like, hey, thank you. That's a thank you. That's a massive thank you to all that. We have a large reach. How do we reach them? And just again, I don't know. I truly appreciate that.
Sure.
Anyways, so.
And that, like I said, it's the little things. Again, expressing gratitude it doesn't take much to say thank you, but hearing thank you means, at least for me anyway, means a great deal. Right. And I think that we all benefit from, strengthening relationships by simply saying, I appreciate what you did.
Right.
And what you do as you play a vital part in the relationship. And I mean, this goes real well with the kids. I mean, your children do something. Yeah, it's a chore that maybe you have them do, but you say, hey, Sam, Jill, thank you for dumping the trash. I appreciate that. Or I appreciate how you do that every week and I don't have to remind you.
Right.
Kids, Mom, Dad, thanks for making meals.
Right.
I know that's hard. I got to be right honest as an adult. I'm finding that's one of the most challenging things. What are we going to have for a meal every day?
Oh, yeah.
Coming up with something that is not routine, that doesn't require me to go and buy fast food all the time.
Yeah.
So expressing gratitude.
Okay.
So, all right, here's something else. All right. Responding with empathy. Listening, which is something that you and I have talked about before, that, listening to somebody, but then responding with a level of empathy that allows the person listening or the person speaking to know that you're listening to them and you're listening to understand
1,000%.
rather than to respond. Because when you're talking, I want to know that you're listening, not looking at me, but your mind's somewhere else.
Yeah. I felt horrible. We went to this event one night. Suzanne and I did. And this couple, this girl, she was a little bit older than us, not quite your age, but she was a little bit older, and I sensed her that she was struggling with the fact that nobody listens to her.
Mm-hmm.
And she was trying to talk about something, and then two other people started talking over. Then her body language, because you and I have talked about that, and I think we've learned quite a bit that, like, I just automatically knew, like, she started sinking in, and I was like almost like depressed that, like, no one listened to her. It's like they wanted to respond, and they didn't allow her to finish her entire sentence, so they really don't know, they don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
They just were too focused on responding, not listening, right, to understand. And I could empathize with her because I've been there. Like, I want to tell something that's going on with me, and then, they hijack the conversation, and then, oh, yeah, well, I've done this, or this is, blah. That's not what I'm coming to you for. I'm coming to you to listen, not hijack my conversation or the story, because I needed you to listen. And I felt bad for this girl. So going back to the empathy part, like, I've been there. So I was, like, honed in on her, and I just felt bad. And I wanted to be like, hey, why don't you guys just listen to what she has to say, because she's struggling. And
That's really cool.
she never got to express it because people kept talking over her, and I could just see her sinking in and, like, almost shutting down. Well, I'm not going to say anything because no one listens.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt really bad, and I was able to empathize with her. So I'm glad you mentioned that. And I know I just kind of hijacked your little podcast session moment thingy right there, but I don't know. It hits home to me because being an effective listener is so crucial to relationships.
Well, it ties in with needing an ear to vent.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've vented to you.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to return the favor when you have wanted to vent as well, because that's kind of what I don't really want you to fix it. I'm not looking for you to fix it. I need to vent.
Right.
And so to be able to have the strong enough relationship that you feel comfortable being able to express whatever it is that's causing you a little bit of stress or anxiety, frustration, anger, hostility, whatever you want to put in there, having somebody to be able to talk to, I think makes a lot of difference. And I think that really strengthens that relationship, because you're entrusting part of you in talking to that individual.
Right.
It kind of elevates the level of that friendship from a superficial to something a little bit stronger.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with that.
Well, one of the other things, and I've learned this through some of my psychology stuff or my psychology classes that I'm taking, but how much a warm smile or a physical touch, and I can reach over and touch you right now.
Please don't.
But being able to have physical contact.
Right.
I mean, okay, earlier today I was goofing around with your daughter and just smiling at her. And granted, she's only, 5 months old?
Yep.
But her ability to recognize facial expression, she'll mirror it.
Right.
And so, but the psychological imprint that has on a kid growing up, the more they see the smiles and feel that love or that warmth that comes from the smile,
right,
helps them develop emotionally and cognitively.
Sure.
But I think that a simple hand on the shoulder, a pat on the back. I mean, in sports all the time, what do you see? A swat on the butt.
Right.
For players doing a really good job. You having played big time sports, you almost need that.
Right.
I mean, I'm guessing, because that seems to what I see from middle school through the professional level of any sport,
right,
there is some kind of recognition, and I think the player, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the players seem to thrive on that. And when the coach says, "Attaboy,
Right.
way to go, good job," and pats you on the back, high fives
Right.
you, making some kind of physical contact, I watch the athlete and they kind of stand a little taller,
Right.
jump a little higher, whatever the, physical response is, but it's a positive response.
Right. Yep. No, absolutely. You nailed it.
I mean,
that's a positive response. It's an encouragement. It's recognizing that, wow, you just did something phenomenal.
right.
Right.
And well, it doesn't even have to be phenomenal. It can be just you did something good,
Right.
and I'm recognizing you. I mean, how many times, when Braddock's does something really good here at home, hey, thank you very much. You did, you're giving him the verbal praise, but a
Right.
physical touch of, on a hand on the shoulder, a fist bump,
Right.
some kind of physical connection that also expresses that gratitude.
Right.
I mean, I always appreciated when I would do something good at home and my parents would not just verbally praise me, but give me some kind of, again, a pat on the back.
Right.
I mean, it's same way with a greeting. When I see folks, friends, a hug hello,
Mm-hmm.
a hug goodbye, that physical touch
Right.
lets me know. I mean, it could be, just a handshake, but it lets me know that, well, we're not just casual friends. We've elevated that relationship
Right.
to something a little bit stronger, making that, I don't know, that I don't want, I guess, intimacy, but not in a romantic
Right,
way,
yeah.
but in a serious way to know that you are especially important to me.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree.
So,
I agree. Yeah, we're a family. We're a hugging family. Braddock's and I, you can catch Braddock's and I always hugging. Any of us, right?
yeah.
But I also believe in the importance of a hug.
Well, yeah.
Just a warm embrace.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's just a random, nothing's happening, right? But just a random hug.
Well, unexpected gift at an unexpected time sometimes can be simply just a like you're saying, a little physical thing.
Right.
Just that says, it's because it's amazing how our brains are wired that a physical touch
Yeah.
can, I mean, it bridges it doesn't have to be a big gap, but just a little something to add that personal touch.
Right.
And so when you're building relationships, I'll high five or fist bump my students all the time.
Right.
I mean, there's videos of, elementary school kids being greeted by their
Oh,
teacher,
yeah.
where, they're doing that physical touch.
Yeah.
And it's nothing big. It's not inappropriate, but it is showing to those kids that they are valued.
They're valued. Wow, my teacher really cares about me.
Yeah, because we all do. I mean, that's why it always cracks me up, people questioning, well, you must hate kids. Really? I have spent all this time learning to be a teacher. I have invested spending so many hours a day around thousands of kids because I hate them?
Yeah.
Come on.
That makes total sense.
But
I see it now. Yeah.
oh, no.
With a combined almost 50 years experience in education. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Hate them to death.
Oh, absolutely. Whatever. That just drives me nuts.
Anyways.
Well, okay. So something else that works really good to improve relationships is to schedule times to meet and do things.
Okay.
If it's, hey, let's go out for dinner. Hey, okay, Sherry and I could reach out and, say, hey, let's double it with you and Suzanne. All right. We're getting together outside of our normal, but we're setting aside time so that way we can engage with each other, visit, and strengthen that relationship.
Right.
I mean, if you're doing it with your kids, I know a number of folks who will do date night with their kids. Okay. Where, the dad takes the kids or the mom takes the kids or, depending on how many kids you got or their gender, dad takes the daughter, the mom takes the son.
Got it.
But it's that we're going to take some private time out of the norm and it's just us. Mm-hmm. I mean, my mom would do that from time to time where, okay, I can remember sometimes where we go school shopping and it'd be just me and her. And we might I can remember one time where we just popped in at a donut store.
Okay.
Well, growing up as poor as we were, that was a really rare special treat.
I was going to say special
treat.
Now,
I mean, granted, the donut was 25 cents. Okay. But the idea that we were stopping to do that, it was just my mom and I.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like I felt special because granted, she maybe did this with my sisters, but for me at that moment, it was just me and her.
Right.
I mean, my dad would do the same thing. As we got older, we'd be going out and we'd be doing something, running, doing some kind of horrible chore. But we might make a pit stop at the Quickie Mart and might get a drink.
Right.
And so it would be, just he and I.
Right.
I mean, and these are kinds of things that, like to do. I mean, one of the things that Sherry and I do is we will go and have a date night. Mm-hmm. And it may not always be the same day, the same time, the same place, but we'll take time, just her and I.
Yeah.
No phones. Phones don't really play a part. And we're going to talk and enjoy each other's company. Mm-hmm. And to me, that was something that I did not do very, in my relationships that have failed, including the marriage. I didn't do a lot of that.
Yeah.
I didn't, the old life, the ex-wife, we never really went on a date, her and I. Especially once Eric was born, he was with us all the time.
Yeah.
And, they say relationships are like a bank account. Mm-hmm. You got to make more deposits than withdrawals. Well, by letting people know how much you appreciate them, listening to them.
Yeah, you definitely have to invest. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. You got to invest. And you got to invest into healthy relationships, period. But we're coming out of this 3-year, I don't even know what you want to call it. With
this COVID stuff.
No, with Suzanne's mom. Yeah. I forgot about COVID. But it was taxing on us, and we tried to do things for us, but we've got the 2 little kids, and then Radix is 12, and I mean, this reality of the situation is it sucked, right? Mm-hmm. And so as we're trying to come out of that, we're like, as we're coming out of that and we're moving into a new season, like you just talked about, like we have to schedule time for us. We have to make us a priority. Mm-hmm. I get what was going on, and we needed to maximize those moments because those moments and now are no longer here.
Right.
And so that was a priority for her, for us. And so, we're moving into a new season and where we need to schedule those date nights because not that our marriage was put on a back burner, but there were other things that, we were taking care of, and you throw the kids in there and it's like, we both recognize that our marriage is a top priority. Mm-hmm. Right. And so we need to invest in it, and we need to do certain things, and we need to, go on a date night or,
No,
we've been implementing those things, and it's starting to we're kind of getting over that hump, right? And so, but
you're absolutely right, because at the end of the day, it needs to be fun.
Yeah,
have fun with people that you enjoy spending time with, whether it's your children, your spouse, whatever it is. Yeah. I mean, going out and doing something entertaining. I've been seeing a lot of commercials for medieval times.
Okay.
And I've only been there once, but I remember it being a whole lot of fun. Went there with some very dear friends, and I was yelling and I yelled myself hoarse.
Huh.
It was a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it was good for building that relationship, with them. And I'm
Right.
still very close to them to this very day. And but these are the kinds of things. My friends from Kansas, my best friends growing up, they came down a couple years ago at Christmas time, and we just had a great time. Went out to see the ice sculptures at the Gaylord
Okay.
Hotel, which they aren't doing for the second year in a row. We went to Six Flags, and just did fun and
Right.
entertaining stuff. Spending time building those.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be big stuff. It doesn't have to be expensive stuff. Just something that is entertaining.
Well, and often it's the little things that really make the most significant impact.
Mm-hmm.
And like we've since Christmas, all the lights were up and everything, and that was like the girls loved that. Now Braddock's loved it too.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like, I'm almost 13, right?
Yeah.
But for the girls, it was like Briar especially, like Christmas lights. I want to see Christmas lights and all the little blow ups and all that. And to her, that was huge.
Oh.
And all we needed to do was just drive around the car.
Uh-huh. But it's building those memories. It's creating
1,000%.
It's interesting how it doesn't take a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that one episode we were talking about exercise, where it doesn't take a lot of time to invest into exercise. Well, same way with this. You're not asking for a massive investment of time. It's just hey, you want to go grab lunch?
A little deposit.
Uh-huh.
Little deposit there. Little deposit there.
And it's because life is so much more fun, so much more enjoyable when you got somebody to share it with.
Oh, yeah.
And again, I look back on my life, and I have been super blessed with lifelong friendships.
Yeah.
And when I look around, and my ex-wife, she didn't really have that. And I look at different people and their relationships, and with other people, and I've had good relationships with the people I've worked with. I've had good relationships with again, friends from high school. And it amazes me and pleases me that I can say, well, yes, I've got friends that go back to the very beginning of my life.
Yeah.
And friend from kindergarten. Because when you get older and you move around. Crying out loud, I've lived in various states across the country, but yet those relationships have still been maintained.
Right.
And so,
well, as we've been sitting here, I not to steal your thunder.
No, steal away.
But there's a chapter in my book that is, I'm thinking, okay, well, this is exactly what I wrote in my book about healthy relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And, creating that joy, that fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Healthy relationships make life enjoyable.
Amen.
Right? But obtaining that joy comes by being intentional about keeping them strong.
Mm-hmm. They won't happen if you don't help it happen.
Right.
You in relationships, you have to give to receive.
Right.
I guess it goes. We were talking once about gratitude, and so it doesn't take a lot of effort.
No.
To be a friend, but when you're a friend to someone, that someone will be a friend back.
Yeah.
Especially if they're a good person. If they don't respond back, and you got to work a lot harder to be their friend than they are at being yours.
Right.
Well, maybe that's a sign.
Yeah. Yep.
Or if they're getting you into trouble, they may not be the. Of course, it kind of depends on the kind of trouble.
What kind of trouble you're getting in? Yeah.
But anyway.
So, do you think the quality of our relationships directly will determine the quality of our lives?
Oh, that's pretty deep. First response, yes.
Okay.
I think the stronger the relationships we have with the people in our life, the happier and more fulfilled we can be.
Yeah.
Not that you aren't going to have adversity, but when you have an issue, they can make it easier to address an issue. When you have those road bumps that try and derail you, having those relationships, I can tell you straight up that I would not have survived not just the divorce, but Eric's death if I hadn't had such a strong network of great relationships, not just with my family and my parents, my sisters, but those lifelong friends, that came, dropped everything, and beeline. I mean, when Eric died, and the word went out, not only did my family jump on planes and fly straight here,
Right.
but I had friends from around the state. They dropped everything, jumped in their vehicles, and drove up to Dallas to be with me.
Right.
Those that were here from the divorce group, they platooned in. I mean, they go, and I would not have survived
Right.
the crushing loss and depression that I was in if it hadn't been for them.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be where I am today without those friendships that were from the past, but also the friendships, because you and I met after Eric died.
Right.
And so the strength of our relationship, our friendship, has made it possible for me to build those pieces back. And so I guess, yes, the answer to your question from me is absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yeah, that's good. I believe wholeheartedly in that the quality of our relationships directly impact our lives.
Well, on the flip side, if you don't have good if you don't have a good relationship with your siblings, then you're going to have a difficult time with them. If you don't have a good relationship with your parents, or your parents don't have we as parents don't have good relationship with our children, well, then, okay, that has, there could be a million reasons as to why there is a challenge to that relationship, but the more separated those relationships are, the harder it is. But the stronger they are, the happier we can be. And I guess that's why I wanted to focus or talk a little bit about, the very simple things that we can do. Say thank you, express gratitude, show empathy, listen to understand rather than respond, engage in physical positive reaction of smile, a physical touch of a hug, a handshake, a fist bump, a pat on the back, scheduling time to be with those people, whether, if it's a significant other, it's a date night, if it's just good friends, well, I shouldn't say just, but if it's good friends, hey, let's go out for dinner, let's go catch a movie. And whatever you do stuff that you enjoy doing.
Right.
So
I love it. I love it.
So when do you want to get together and go out and do something fun?
I don't have time for fun. No, I was just sitting there. This is really good. It is, and we could probably talk on this for another 2 episodes, and maybe after today we brainstorm, and because those relationships. I know we talked about friendships and maybe the relationship with your spouse, but maybe that's something we dive a little bit deeper into next episode. Is the reason why we're doing the podcast, Home Sweet Home, right? You touched on your siblings, where I think you had a good relationship with your siblings.
Kinda. I think we're better now
Yeah.
as we're adults. I didn't with my little sister. My little sister, I had a lot of resentment, a lot of jealousy.
Yeah.
My older sisters, I just wanted to be with them because, hey, you're older, you're cooler.
Right.
But they were going, you're a little brother, get the heck away from me.
Right.
And without any brothers, and again, I'm jealous of you. You have 3 brothers. I don't have any.
Yeah.
And so I would latch on to my close guy friends, and we would be pretty much akin to being a brother.
Right. Well, and we all, as in the 4 boys, we all have had. I think we've had more ups than we had, more downs and ups. We've had our ups and downs, but there hasn't been a real tight bond with all of us. Like Brad and I have been the closest, but I don't really talk to my other brothers, and it kind of saddens me because there was the ability to have a good relationship, but then again, when you went looking back, well, it was pretty dysfunctional family.
Okay.
Until we didn't have good relationships, right? We fought all the time. Now there was an age gap and whatnot, but still we could have made a choice. We still can, I guess, to
Because that's what I was going to ask.
develop a good relationship.
Well, when we finish up here, why not give him a call?
I don't want to do that.
Because it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. Wow, you're really going to call me out like that on live? Wow. Okay. Whatever.
No,
I appreciate you adding value to my life and helping me overcome some of the challenges that I've gone through. I appreciate the fact that you're always willing to listen when I pick up the phone and be like, "Hey, I'm going through something." So adding value is what comes to mind.
But that's what friendship is all about.
Right.
And so that's why I wanted to take a little bit of time for us to just discuss and talk about what can we do to make sure that we have friends, and to be able to develop and strengthen those relationships. Because in order to have a friend, you have to be a friend.
Right.
And so, anyway,
How about I leave us with this question?
okay.
Where can you add value that you are not adding now?
Ooh.
So I'm going to leave it with that.
Okay.
How about you close us out? On that note, I'm Bryce Runge.
I'm Rod McCall. Until next time, folks.